Welcome to the campus of Charleston Southern. I'm your host, Anna Witte. It is the first Buccaneer pregame show of the season. Your Charleston Southern Buccaneers are welcoming the Big South reigning champions Monmouth Hawks to town tonight. Before the game, we sat down with Charleston Southern head coach Autry Denson, Monmouth head coach Callahan, players and insiders in both programs. You can catch today's game at 6 o'clock nationally on ESPN Plus and locally on NBC. Joined by the head coach of the Charleston Southern football team, Coach Autry Denson. Coach, it's been a while since we last spoke. How was your summer?
It was fun. Spent a lot of time hanging out with the guys, working out, getting prepared for the season, and then in my off time, traveling with my family, going to tournaments, things of that nature.
Where was the coolest place you guys traveled to?
Coolest place? I would say home. We got a chance to go home, so home is always the coolest. Home as in Florida.
Well, I know you pride yourself off of what your team also does off the field. So what did you and your team do for team bonding and for fun in the community this summer?
This summer was a little bit different because of COVID, so we didn't get a chance to get out. We did a lot of stuff virtually during the season and also in the fall last year. So we read books. We did a lot of the same stuff that we do. Read books at different elementary schools, find different ways where there's needs in the community and just kind of meet them.
Let's switch focus to football now. It's game day. It's been a while since game day here at the field, at Buccaneer Field, but you guys played across town against the Citadel last week. What did you see in your own scouting report that you want to improve out here today?
Pretty much everything. We came out. We were blessed to do some things, do some stuff well. We got off to a really fast start. We want to improve upon that. Also get off to a fast start today, as well as sustain it. We didn't necessarily sustain it for the entirety of the game, so we want to be hitting on all cylinders for 4 quarters.
Speaking of playing fast, your offense looked very fast against the Citadel. What do you attribute to your team clicking so quickly out on the field this season so far?
Just their dedication that they put in this offseason, the work they put in the weight room, and then just being more comfortable in the system.
You attribute it to the weight room specifically?
Yeah, everything starts in the weight room anyway. That's where you play your season during the off season. So you have to get bigger, faster, and stronger. Conditioning, that's the basic fundamentals of any success that you're going to have. So everything starts and ends in the weight room.
What was the biggest thing that you guys did in the weight room this past summer that you felt has made a huge improvement on the field?
We just attacked it. I mean, it's all about the mentality. It's not the program. It's not the programming. It is their mentality in attacking it.
You scored on the second drive of the game against the Citadel last week. Everyone's calling it the Philly Special. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl using that play. But I want to know, what does the Buccaneer football team call that play?
Touchdown. That's what we call it.
What was the conversation before that play was run with Jack Chambers?
It's the same. It's not a magic formula, any of that stuff. I mean, we practice this stuff, so we expect our guys to execute. We don't give them any pep talks. It's not a movie or anything. I mean, it is, let's go out and do what we did Thursday, Friday. During the weekend, we just go out and play. The plays happen because they executed during the week in practice.
Who called that play?
Coach Coster.
Wide receiver Garris Schwarting had an outstanding performance, the best one of his career. He had 4 touchdowns. He threw a touchdown. He got named the FCS Offensive Player of the Week. This is his 6th season as a Buccaneer. What has a tribute to him being so successful to the start of his season this year?
His preparation. If you know Garris' story, he started off as a walk-on when we got here, earned a scholarship, was selected a captain. So he's just the most competitive young man that we have on this in this football ministry. He comes to work every single day. He doesn't like the attention. He just loves playing ball with his brothers. So Garris just being Garris.
Monmouth is going to give you a completely different look than what you guys saw last week. It's been 6 months since you played them. You guys lost 35-17. What phases of the field need to be better out there today?
All 3 phases. We got to do a better job scoring points on offense. We got to do a much better job getting off the field on defense, and we got to do a better job flipping the field position from in special forces. So we got a lot of improvement. It's pretty easy when you get your butt whooped.
Monmouth running back, Big South player, defensive player of the year, Juwan Fari, had 123 yards against you guys in March. What does your defense have to do to slow him down out there today?
Tackle, gang tackle, do a good job of corralling the football. He's a really good player. I don't know if you stop really good players. I think the only thing you can do is slow them down, and so we want to slow them down as much as we can. Let that second and third tackler come in and take them down in a bunch of gang tackling.
Last question for you, Coach. There hasn't been fans in the stands since 2019. It's a home game, first home game since then. What do you expect from the fans out here today? What kind of energy would you like them to bring?
Man, I'm hoping it's through the roof. I'm hoping they understand that they are as important. They are that 12th man, and so we're hoping that it's through the roof all the game long, and we want to give them a reason to scream too.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Best of luck out there today.
All right, no problem.
Joined by the head coach of the Monmouth football team, Coach Kevin Callahan. Coach, thank you so much for coming on the pregame show. I know you had a shortened summer, but how was your summer break? Do anything fun?
Nothing special. It was a lot of fun. What was the most fun was anticipating this football season. After having been away from it for so long, losing last fall, losing the spring before that, to actually have a full football season to look forward to was exciting. It was exciting for me, the rest of our coaches, but also for our team.
Well, you've built a fantastic, great culture over the 28 seasons that you've been at Monmouth. Now you're back-to-back reigning Big South champions. How did you build such a great culture up in New Jersey?
Well, I think anytime you go about establishing a program, it does take time, and you have to have certain things that you value and that you believe in, and you've got to stand by those values. And, one of the things, or many of the things that we try to do here is, we're very selective in our recruiting. We don't want just great football players, although we want great football players, but we want guys who are, academically motivated, but more than anything else, they're good people. And they're people that are motivated, and they're willing to work hard and willing to put the team before themselves. And when we find people like that, that's who we try to get into our program. And if you start with that as a base, I think it's very easy to grow from there. Our guys are all about, being accountable to each other. We have a great team chemistry here. The players genuinely love each other here. They love being around each other. And I think that goes a long way towards what we accomplish on the field. No one wants to be the guy who lets anybody else down. And I think that's been important since day one here at Monmouth. It's certainly important with this football team that we have here now. And when new people come into our program, if we've done a good job as coaches at identifying and recruiting the right type of people, they assimilate into the team culture very quickly.
28 seasons is a long time to be with a program. What was the beginning of your culture building like, and how long did it take to get to where you guys are at as a culture?
Well, when we first entered the Big South, I think, we were the new person on the block, so to speak. We came in, we were transitioning from our old conference, which was the Northeast Conference. And when we left that, we only had 34 scholarships. And we entered into the Big South where just about everybody had upwards of 60, if not the full 63. And it took us time to build up our scholarship base. And once we got to the full number, once we got to 60, which was 2017, I think you saw the results of that on the field, because it wasn't until 2017 that we started winning on a regular basis. And that kind of opened up a lot of doors for us. And now we have a group of guys who are confident, they believe in themselves. They understand how competitive this conference is and how hard they have to work just to be a factor in conference play. And that culture, if you want to call it that, runs seamlessly through our team, whether you're a fifth-year player or whether you're a freshman who just entered school.
As reigning Big South champions, you have a target on your back. Going into this game and opening up Big South play here today, how do you carry the momentum against Fordham into your first Big South Conference game?
Well, our philosophy is always one of, we want to be better this week than we were last week. And quite honestly, when we opened the season against Middle Tennessee, we came away from that game disappointed, feeling that we were not very good, that we did not play the type of football that we expect ourselves to play. And we probably didn't coach the type of football that we as coaches expect ourselves to coach. So, although there were many positive things in that game, we didn't do enough of them correctly, really, to give ourselves a chance. So going into week 2, it was about fixing those mistakes, cleaning up what we do, execute at a higher level, do some things physically like tackling and not giving up big plays and protecting the quarterback a little bit better, and see if in week 2 we weren't a better football team than we were in week 1. And coming out of week 2 against Fordham, where we got the win, although we weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and we still have a long way to go, I thought we made significant improvement over week 1. So now as we head into week 3 against a very talented Charleston Southern team, it's all about let's take yet another step. Let's improve upon what we did last week, and let's be a better football team after week 3 than we were at week 2.
You mentioned that not everything was great, but there were some good things in the game against Fordham. What needs to be great in this game against Charleston Southern?
Well, I think first of all, we can't have the type of mistakes where we break ourselves down. In the Fordham game, we had some critical third down penalties on our defense that allowed us or allowed them to continue drives. And against a talented team like Charleston Southern, you can't do that. We had a first and goal from the 1 yard line and we turned the ball over. You can't do that against teams. You've got to be able to finish drives. You've got to be able to score when you're in the red zone. And when you're down in that part of the field, you've got to come away with touchdowns. So, those are just 3 things that come to mind right away. There's a lot of little things, we've got to tackle better. We got to pass protect better. We can block better on the perimeter. All of those things, you don't want me to get into all the coaching things, but those are all things that we could do better. But those 3 things that I mentioned stand out.
We love all the coaching things, Coach. Give it to us. I like it.
All right.
25 returning starters coming back to Monmouth this season. You mentioned that they were motivated in the offseason to get better. What have you seen improve since last spring?
Well, I think, first of all, I can say that our players are so happy and feel so fortunate that we have this opportunity to play a full fall season. Having missed the fall of 20, having missed the spring of 20, the spring of 21 gave us a little taste of it. We had 4 games in an abbreviated season, and we had some success during those 4 games, but that just kind of whet our appetite for what the fall season brings. And our players just feel fortunate that now things are somewhat back to normal, and we have a full season in front of us, and they want to make the most of it. They're motivated to continue playing at the level that we have played at over the past couple of seasons, 2019 and spring of 21, but yet to see how high they can push the bar of our performance and moving that even ahead of where we've been. We talk to our players all the time is that, every day you never stay the same. You're either going to be better than you were the day before, or you're not going to be as good. You're not going to be just the same. And one of the things that we emphasize here is let's get better every day. Let's be a better person. Let's be a better student. Let's be a better football player. Let's be better in everything that we do. And our players really believe in that. And they go out each and every day to become better than they were before. And we don't try to give them the whole picture, the season and the conference. We just say, let's be better today than we were yesterday. Let's be better this week than we were last week. And that's something that they can digest. That's something that is very tangible to them. They can see it. And because they can see it, they believe it.
You have a highly motivated team, it sounds like, and 25 returning starters is a big number. How does that affect how you coach this fall?
Well, we were probably able to move through our installation faster and put more in earlier than we would if it was a younger team. And especially just coming off a spring season that wasn't that long ago. There was a large carryover from a schematic standpoint mentally with our players. So when we started preseason practice here in August, there was a lot of recall on their part. They understood exactly what we were trying to do. And it was all about becoming better at executing it. And I think when you have an older team, you can do that. Now, the catch there is you have to be careful you don't do too much. And by too much, I mean try to go too fast where you haven't created the foundation that you need to be successful. And you might have a lot in as an offense or as a defense, but are you proficient at executing all that you have in? And so, that's where it's my job to make sure that we didn't go too fast or haven't gone too fast, and where we can break it down into manageable chunks of information.
You just mentioned that you have to manage your experienced team and manage what you give them. How do you assess that? How do you make sure you give them enough that they can chew?
Well, a lot of it's through observation, through watching practice video to see how we're executing different things. If our execution isn't up to par across the board, meaning in a lot of different areas, it probably is an indication that we are doing too much. On the other hand, if you're executing everything perfectly, either you're very, very good, or maybe you don't have quite enough and you need to expand on what you're doing. So it's a fine line. And I think, I try to gauge how we're executing it. I also talk to our players and just try to get their feedback on and test what they know. The more they can tell back to me what they are doing and why they are doing it and when they're going to do it and how they're going to do it, the better I understand how prepared and how ready they are.
Running back Juwan Fari had 156 rushing yards against Fordham last week. Every defense knows his name, knows his number. What's the key to his consistency this season?
Well, first of all, he's highly motivated. He's a very, very motivated individual. He's added some weight this off season. He's physically bigger and stronger than he has been in previous years, and he hasn't lost any speed or any of his quickness. So he's become much more durable than he's been in the past. On Saturday against Fordham, not that we're excited by this, but he played 82 out of 84 plays. That's a lot, and honestly, that's too many for him. He should not be playing that many plays. And that's something that as a coaching staff, we have to monitor and we have to correct that.
Why did he play so many plays?
Because he was doing a good job. He's one of those guys.
Hard to take him off the field when they're doing a good job.
It's hard to take him off the field.
Totally fair.
It's hard to take him off the field, yes.
Coach, we spoke about the heat up in New Jersey. It looks like it's a beautiful day behind you there today. It's definitely hot here in Charleston. It has not cooled down. Normally by September, we see cooler temps, but you're also going to be playing on a turf field down here in Charleston. How do you train for that type of heat coming from the Northeast, traveling to the Southeast?
Well, I don't know if you do train for the heat. You hope that, through your training during the preseason, that you've exposed your players to warm conditions, to humid conditions, and being so close to the ocean here, we do get a high level of humidity, and our players have been exposed to that. And I'll be honest with you, our strength and conditioning staff does an outstanding job at preparing our players, not just in keeping them strong, but keeping them fit, but making sure that their bodies can adapt to any weather conditions, and that they're always properly hydrated. The good thing is we've played down in Charleston before. We know what to expect. We're probably going to thunderstorm right before a kickoff. That's what usually happens when we come down there. But I think our players will adjust to it just fine. And we did play our opening game down in Tennessee, not as far south as Charleston, but yet a different climate than what we're used to here in New Jersey.
Your young quarterback, was a true freshman back in the spring of 2021. He started 4 games for you. Last Saturday, he threw 16 straight completions. He was 30 for 44, only 6 games in your offense. Coach, what's made him so successful within your program?
Well, I think that, first and foremost, he's talented. He has the physical skills and abilities that you want to see in a quarterback. But more than that, he's a very intelligent football player. He has a high football IQ. He gets the big picture, and he understands what it is you're trying to do. And I think a lot of that goes back to his high school days, where his high school asked him to do a lot. So when we put things on his plate and have him run the game from the field, he's very comfortable doing that. And secondly, he has an incredible level of maturity for his age. For a freshman, for as young as he is, or actually sophomore now, he's just very mature. He's got all the intangibles that you look for at the quarterback position. He's smart, he's articulate, he has leadership capability. He gets the big picture. He never gets rattled. He's got a very even demeanor about him, so that, he's comfortable being the leader of our offense. And when he's comfortable, we're comfortable with him.
Charleston Southern's offense looked very fast against Citadel last week. They've improved in that area. What does your defense have to do to take away the running game, slowing down the running game, and take away Jack Chambers' options?
Well, I'll tell you this, that's not going to be an easy task. I mean, he is a very talented quarterback. He's multidimensional in that he throws the ball extremely well, and that he can also hurt you in the run game by not only designed quarterback runs for him, but also when the pass plays break down of just taking the ball and running with it. We've known that, since we've been playing against him. He's very talented. So you have to be sound defensively in everything that you do. And in terms of the speed, they do have receivers that can run by you. So that we have to make sure that, as far as the little things like our alignment and our leverages and our depths and all of those things in the secondary are right on, and they're very precise. Because again, as I said earlier, if you make a mistake against a talented team, the talented team is going to exploit it. And as an offense, Charleston Southern is a very, very talented team.
Coach, you're chasing your third consecutive Big South championship. That's a hard task to fill. How do you address your team when it comes to wanting to repeat for the third time in a row and starting Big South Conference play here today?
Well, honestly, we don't even talk about that. As I said before, we talk about getting better every day. Our preseason was all about laying a foundation on which we could build and continue to build week by week. We look at this as we play it 1 week at a time. We go out to practice 1 day at a time. And I tell our guys, if you take care of business every single day and thereby every single week, when you get to the end of the season, there's a good chance you'll be where you want to be. But you can't think about the end result. You've got to think about the daily process and doing the work every single day. And you've got to, and that's something that takes a lot of effort. It just doesn't happen. You've got to actually think about that. You've got to talk about that, and you've got to do that. And if you do those things later in the year, when you look back, you'll say, okay, I think we're in a good spot.
How do you feel like your team is doing in those areas right now?
As I said earlier, we're not where we need to be yet by a long shot. We have a lot of improvement that we need to make. But I hope that this week we end up being 1 week better than we were the week before.
Well, Big South Conference play starts today. Coach, thank you so much for taking us into your office, and best of luck out there today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time, Anna.
We now welcome in the National Player of the Week, wide receiver Garris Schwarting. And Garris, pretty good week last week for you and the team, coming up with the victory over the crosstown rivals over at the Citadel. Got a big game coming up this week, but before we get to that, 5 total touchdowns for you. What does that Player of the Week honor nationally mean to you, and what was clicking so well for that offense last week?
The honor means a lot, to know the hard work had been paid off during the summer. As an offense, the whole offense as a whole, and the receiver court, like to know that your hard work every day for the past month or 2 months during the summer, and then the month of camp that paid off finally was rewarding. And then offensively, it was we were going pretty fast up tempo, and it was wearing them down. And it was Jack was clicking. Jack was throwing balls perfectly all day. And all of our starters are capable of doing that. Gio, Caden, Andy, Jack's any week. They do it at practice every day. Jack just happened to find me more often than them. So, yeah, I mean, as a whole receiver core, we can do that any week, we feel like.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but I'm liking to call it the Holy City Special. A little bit reminiscent of the Philly Special in the Super Bowl a few years back. Take me through that play for you guys. What was the mindset, and especially for you being a wide receiver having to throw the football there?
Yeah, Coach Coster put that in. It was a 2-point. Originally, like, we ran it for a 2-point conversion at practice, and we ran it probably 4 or 5 times, and it's worked every time at practice we ran it. And so it was a little shocking. I thought that would only be a 2-point conversion play, but to run it in the actual game in the red zone was pretty cool. And I saw Garris in the back of the end zone. I might could have ran it, but I saw him kind of had a little step on the defender, so I just tried to lob it over for him. He made a great play and toe tapped in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it was a beautiful play. And I mean, are you breathing down Jack's neck now for that QB job after that pass?
No, I can't do what Jack does. Jack can run, throw. He got a real strong arm. I can't do anything nowhere near what he can do.
I mean, but can Jack catch?
Jack's a little athletic. He might think he can catch more than he think he can, but yeah, Jack's athletic.
All right, I was just saying we got a little battle, bro, maybe. But want to move to this next week. It's an absolutely huge game coming in here. You got ranked Monmouth coming to CSU, the home opener. What's the mindset of this team going into such a big conference game right at the early part of the season?
Yeah, even though we won pretty good at the Citadel, we got a lot of work to do because Monmouth is no defense to Citadel, but they're a way better team than the Citadel. They're defending Big South champions. In 2019 and last year during the spring, they really dominated us. So we got to go out there and play one of our best games. We got to really improve from last week. We can't stall out like we did a couple times against the Citadel, and they're a really great team, and we got to come out and punch them in the mouth. They're physical, and we got to play hard, not make any mistakes. And this is a big game because this is, we talked about it. This is like for the Big South Championship. With them being so good, we can't afford to lose to them.
Yeah, and there's still obviously a lot of football to be played, but when you look at the schedule, this is really one of the marquee matchups in the conference for the season. So are you guys looking at this like, hey, if we go out and win this, we've got a legitimate shot to go on and win this conference?
Yeah, if you knock off the defending champion, you always think you got a shot. But even if we win, we got a long season ahead, and we got a lot more Big South games, so we can't win this game and let off the gas. We still got to improve each and every week and hopefully peak by the end of the season to get in the playoffs.
So looking to this next week, what's kind of going to be the mindset of the offense? You guys put up a lot of points against the Citadel. You mentioned stalled out a couple times. What are some of the changes you guys want to try and make?
We got to go even faster, more up tempo. Coach Denson and Coach Coster always try to push us to go up tempo to get the defense out of position. And that's our main goal, is just to go as fast as we can and make the smart play. And we got to block good on the receivers. We got to block good on the perimeter for the screens and all, and up front. They had a really good game last week, but you got to continue to block good and run and throw the ball.
So I'll leave you with this one. The last time that CSU beat Monmouth won 4 straight. You were a freshman on that team back in 2016. What would it mean for you? You coming in here, you got this extra year of eligibility, big time game, big time moment. What would it mean for you guys to come away with a victory this week?
Oh, it'll mean a lot. It'll really show us where we're at as a team, since Monmouth is the top team right now in the conference, and they almost made a run in the tournament last year. They lost to, I think, the champion by a touchdown, I think. So it'll mean a lot to go in there and knock Monmouth off if we can. It'll show that we've really progressed as an offense, a defense, and a team as a whole. And I think that'll be a lot of momentum for us going into the rest of the Big South play.
Awesome. Well, Garris, I really appreciate it. A big time game this week coming up against Monmouth. Best of luck out there, and go get them.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it for today's edition of the Buccaneer pregame show. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game, and let's go Bucs.